Ira Shaw was staying at the North Coast Transition Society's Cranes Crossing shelter in late December, when he says he tapped the hand of one of the workers there, who tried to take away his bowl of soup before he was finished. For that, he says he was kicked out of the shelter, which at the time was located at Fisherman's Hall.
Well, they said I was out for an hour, and I went back after the hours up, and they told me I had 2 weeks. I was outside for 5 days.
After 5 days in the cold, he says his niece eventually persuaded the shelter to let him back in. By then, the cold had affected his toes.
Well, the way they were hurting, I kind of figured I had frostbite. I went to the washroom and took my feet out, and my big toenail came off when I took my sock off.
Shaw was later taken to hospitals in both Prince Rupert and Terrace, where he had a total of 4 toes amputated due to frostbite.
They're getting kicked out for the smallest little things that they say or do.
According to both advocates and people who've stayed in the city's shelters before, it's common for people staying in them to get kicked out. Veronica Fenton communicates with the city's homeless, brings them food, and helps them access services like treatment.
And they're always getting kicked out, so they just rather stay outside now, rather than go back and argue with these people for a meal that's not even worthy of eating, because they don't feel like they're appreciated, or they don't feel like they're human going back there, because it's sad.
Andrew Wilkes was staying at the Cranes Crossing shelter's current location at the former Raffles Inn. He says he was kicked out for 2 weeks for swearing at staff.
I understand there's consequences, but 2 weeks is a lot. That's too long. And I've been there a year, and I've never ever been violent with anybody. I've been verbal lots, but I never ever hit nobody. I'll never pose a threat like that.
I just don't like the way it's run. It's just not right.
Walter Robinson has previously stayed at both the Raffles Inn and Fisherman's Hall locations of the shelter.
I got the boot a few times, just for stupid reasons. And, some of them, they just come into work and, within 3 hours, they have 3 or 4 people kicked out for the night already.
We reached out to the Transition Society for comment, but haven't heard anything back. In a written statement, BC Housing said during the extreme cold weather in early January, the temporary shelter at Fisherman's Hall was made available for anyone staying outside, including people who were previously asked to not return to the shelter for breaching policies. Although BC Housing says it's not able to discuss specific incidents due to privacy concerns, it says shelter guests will be asked to leave if they repeatedly show unsafe behavior. As for Shaw, he got the stitches taken out of his feet this morning, and he expects to be out of the Prince Rupert Hospital by Monday. He's not sure what he'll do next, but he says he's thinking about moving back to his home village of Kakatla. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Joshua Azizi.